Have you ever met someone who gives everything in love and still ends up alone? They remember your coffee order after one conversation. They notice when your voice changes. They show up at 2 a.m. without being asked twice. They love loud, they love deep, they love completely. And somehow, they're always the one left standing in an empty room, wondering what they did wrong. Psychology says it's not bad luck. It's not because they're too much. There's a deeper pattern running underneath, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's break down why the people who love the hardest are often the ones who end up the most alone. 1. They confuse intensity with intimacy. When someone loves hard, they often believe that more feeling equals more connection. So they text first, plan everything, remember every detail, give 100% from day one. But psychology shows that real intimacy isn't built through intensity, it's built through times, consistency, over time. Relationships need slow trust, not fast devotion. When you pour everything in too early, the other person doesn't feel loved, they feel overwhelmed. It's not that your love is wrong, it's that your timing skipped a step the other person needed. 2. They were taught that love has to be earned. For a lot of people who love this hard, somewhere early in life, affection wasn't guaranteed. Maybe a parent's attention came and went. Maybe approval depended on performance. Psychologists call this an anxious attachment style, when a person learns that love is something you have to constantly work for, not something that simply exists. So as adults, they overgive in relationship, not because they're generous by nature, but because some part of them still believes if I stop trying this hard, they'll leave. The exhausting part is this effort often pushes people away instead of pulling them closer. 3. They mistake being needed for being loved. People who love hard often attach their worth to how useful they are in someone's life. They become the fixer, the listener, the one who's always there. Psychology calls this a caretaking pattern where self-worth gets tied to how much you're needed rather than how much you're valued. The problem is, partners who only know you as the one who always helps rarely learn how to actually show up for you. So when you finally need support, there's no one there because you train the relationship to only flow one way. 4. They ignore red flags because they're addicted to potential. Ever stayed in a connection because you could see who that person could become if they just tried a little harder? Psychologists call this the sunk cost fallacy mixed with idealization. You're not in love with who they are. You're in love with the version of them you've built in your head. People who love hard often see potential everywhere, in people, in situations, in almost relationships. So they keep investing in something that was never fully there to begin with. And by the time reality sets in, years have already gone. 5. They give love the way they wish they received it, not the way the other person needs it. This one's subtle. Someone who loves hard often gives exactly what they were missing. Deep conversations, constant reassurance, emotional availability. But not everyone wants love the same way. Psychology calls this a mismatch in love languages, where one person is fluent in words and presence and the other barely speaks that language at all. So the hard lover keeps giving more, thinking more effort will finally make it land, when really the other person was never receiving it the way it was meant. 6. They stay until there's nothing left to give. People who love deeply often have an extremely high tolerance for emotional pain. They don't leave at the first sign of trouble. They leave when they're completely depleted. Psychologists call this learned endurance, the ability to function inside discomfort for far too long because somewhere along the way, struggling started to feel normal. So instead of walking away early with their energy intact, they stay until the relationship has taken everything. And by the time they finally let go, they're not just single, they're empty. 7. They forget to build a relationship with themselves. This is the quiet one nobody talks about. When all your emotional energy goes outward toward partners, friends, people who need saving, there's very little left to turn inward. Psychology calls this emotional outsourcing, when your sense of identity depends entirely on who you're loving instead of who you are. So when the relationship ends, it doesn't just feel like heartbreak. It feels like losing yourself because you never fully had a self separate from the love you were giving. If you've ever loved someone harder than they loved you back, this isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that you know how to feel deeply in a world that mostly teaches people to stay guarded. The problem was never your capacity to love. It was giving it all away before checking if the other side even had room to hold it. Loving hard isn't the flaw. Loving without boundaries is. And the people who finally learn the difference don't stop loving deeply. They just stop loving people who were never going to stay. If this felt like it was describing you a little too well, you're not alone in this, even if it's felt that way for a long time. Hit subscribe, because next week we're talking about the exact moment people start protecting their heart again and what it actually takes to feel safe loving someone without losing yourself in the process.